Hi, my name's Jason Williams, and this is my 1990 80 series Land Cruiser. I think this is a review, it's a shakedown, it's a walkthrough, maybe it's a walkthrough or a modify, I don't know. I'm not very good at this, so I should let someone else do it. They'll do a far better job than me. But anyway, this is my Land Cruiser. I've owned it for about 10-15 years. It's a, as I said, 1990. 18Z, it's a HZJ80, so it has a 18Z in it it's a 4.2 litre 18Z diesel, and has a 5-speed manual transmission. And being 1990, being early, it's got a freewheeling hubs as standard. I think it was badged as a DX, which means Povo Pack, and that's barn doors on the rear, vinyl inside, very basic, no electronics. As far as I can, there's very minimal on electronics or features. But some years ago, I bought a RV model, not from 1996, 80 series Land Cruiser, which is a petrol, and it had some nice bits, and so I amalgamated those parts that I liked into this. So this is not really, I'll show that as I go, as I review, or as I show or walk through, whatever it is, for each part, I'll explain what it is. So as for the front artwork, it's an ARB bull bar. I don't think it's a deluxe, because I don't think they made deluxe bull bars at this stage or for this. It's winch compatible, obviously. It's got a winch in it. And if I, talk about what's on here, this is a, UHF 9 dB, I think it is. I bought this when I was quite young, that aerial, and put it on here. I was like, yeah, I wanted the biggest aerial, I want the best range. But I don't think it really works that way. It sort of does on the long, flat, straight roads. It's really good, but it's good enough for me. It's more than good enough. But what it actually serves as a clearance indicator. So if I can, if I drive under something and that misses, well, the rest will miss. But if that hits, then something else is going to hit. So it's a good clearance indicator, and that's why I've kept it, so I haven't changed it. And up beside it is a mobile phone aerial, and I used to have a Telstra phone that you plug the patch lead in the back of it, and that hooked into this, and that was great because I was remote, Marble Bar, Nullagine, and all over the place in Western Australia, that is. And I was, it was nice to have that bit of signal and have a bit of clarity for making phone calls. And it's not really in service anymore. I don't know why it's still there. It's still there because I intended to get a Selfie Go, I think that's what it's called, and to boost the signal. And I thought about it. I was going to, and then I haven't got it because most of the time I do go out bush to actually escape, to escape the telephone, so to speak, and everything else. I like to go out and be remote, and so it hasn't been used, so it's not really in service. The HIDs, these are Light Force HTX spotlights. These are really good. I've got them individually switched, so you can have the LED ring on or the HID or both. And they're probably the best spotties I've ever owned. I've had them for a few years. I quite like them. They've got the HX2 out, which is nice. I don't know if I'll upgrade to those or not, but they're still really good. I've got no reason to change them. If anyone's watched before YouTube and on YouTube, the Funny Talking Animals, I think it was, Anyway, it's got this little bird, and he's walking around. This is an example. He's walking around and he's got his wings, and he goes nighttime, daytime, like that, and keeps doing that. Anyway, that's the best I can resemble these lights like, because when you dip them, it's literally like nighttime, and when you turn them on, it's like daytime. So yeah, they are really good. They're really bright. They're yes, signs reflect, but I'm mostly remote in the country. Not many signs. Don't know. I quite like them, and you can turn the HIDs off. If you find they're glaring back from the signs too much. Or, yeah, pretty good. Quite like them. And also on here, you'll see a forward-facing camera. Yes. It's happened many times in the past where I've actually got to a ledge and I thought, oh, I wonder if I can go down there. Yeah, should be right. Not much traffic, no one drives through there. And I'll be like, should be right. And I go, oh, I better check. And I've got out and checked, and I've just, I've got a bit of a chill, and I thought, oh, far out, I could really come unstuck here. And so I put a forward-facing camera on so I can actually turn it on. I know it has lines on it when it's displayed on the screen side, and so I can see where is it, how steep is it. I can get a pretty good idea and know that that's no good. So that's the front camera. There's a winch. It is a WARN M12000, so it's a 12,000 pound winch, or however they rate it. Really good. I use them in recovery situations, recover myself and others, and but mostly I've used this winch for everything other than a recovery situation. So such as I've strained fences sometimes with it, or I've moved sea containers, I'll shift things, and so because I do that I've still got the steel rope on there. It's still steel rope. I haven't changed it to the fabric type rope. Just because it's I guess it will hold up better. Maybe I'll change it now. I'm off the farm. I'm away from that kind of lifestyle, so maybe I'll change it. The other thing I find really cool is this rubber block. It's called a winch saver. I bought it off eBay a lot of years ago, and it just creates, like, you can wind the winch in and create that little bit of tension, and that holds it, so you're not straining it. Sometimes they'll be people have it looped underneath, or they'll have it up against these rollers, and I don't know that that's so wise, but anyway, the winch saver seems to work. I quite like it. Other than that, I do have some recovery points mounted on the bottom of the chassis at the front of, or underneath the bull bar, mounted to the chassis either side, and they're rated recovery points, I think, to 8 ton, I think. And that's probably nearly it for the front of this, apart from like the headlights. I'll come over here. Standard, that these come out standard with sealed beams, and it's very common for people to convert them to semi-sealed, which means you can put a H1 globe in like these, or put a H4 in those, which I did do quite a lot of years ago. And this is high beam only, these center ones. They're the ones, I've got a H1 HID globe in there. And that's nice, that improves the high beam a lot. But the low beam, as most people know, these are pretty crap. You can get LED lights, H4, that'll go in there, but I'm pretty sure they're illegal, so I haven't done that. I've got Nava plus 50s, I think, in there, or something like that, and that seems okay. That seems alright for now. I don't want to put HIDs in there and have people flashing me back. Annoying certain cars and things like that. I don't want to do that. I don't like it when it's done to me. So why would I do it? So as I walk around this, and I'll display some of the bar work, you'll see here how there's still remnants of evidence of how badly beaten up this car has been. You know, it's very scratched, very you know, those brackets are incredibly scratched. The rest is pretty good. It's all wrapped it. It's got side steps, like, so the scrub bars and the side steps are ARB, and the side steps are good. Like, I cleaned them up and coated them in Raptor, and it makes it, you know, it's so much more slip resistant. You know, it's great for getting in and out, and sure, I hit them and whatnot, but either way. And the rear bar is a Kmart. The Kmart bar, and you know, I've had a Kmart bar on another four-wheel drive once before, and you see it incorporates like its own tow bar as all part of it. It does improve the exit clearance a little bit, and you know, it's quite they're quite good. You know, dual wheel carrier. I don't always carry two spares, but when I'm traveling remote, I will. At the moment, I think I'm just, you know, they're still there from last time I was out. And anyway, so the Kmart bar is good. It's it wrapped it as well, black Raptor, and yeah, that's about what I should mention. And I forgot to mention this about the front. I'll go back and have a quick look at it. You see there's an air fitting, and that's the air fitting at the ARB air fitting at the rear, and at the front on the front bull bar there's also one. That's the air fitting for the on the front, and there's also one in the back compartment next to the air tank, because I've got an air tank installed on this as well. And but I'll show you to you as I go and continue. Also on the back there is a rear camera. This is situated directly above the tow point, and when I've got my hitch connected, it's a camera that from inside I can adjust the angle and the way it looks, so I can actually look straight down the center of the hitch, which is really handy, like, because I use a Treg hitch on the trailer for the trailers, and I can look directly down the hole, which is kind of cool. I'll try to show you that. Maybe I don't know. I'll have to find the hitch. Cool. On the roof rack, I have a solar panel, and you'll see. I don't know if you're interested in seeing the frame and the way I cleaned up the solar panel and so forth. That's also in my videos, as I think it's called solar frame and shower cubby, and I'll show you both those to you as I go. And I've had this is a ARB 2.5 by 2.5 awning in the aluminium case, and the reason I've gone for an aluminium case is I've had quite a few vinyl ones in the past, and I've destroyed every single one of them. And so I thought, oh, you know, I'll try this, see if I can't destroy it. And situated above that awning is a Light Force Rock 40 light. It's a spot beam, like an ultra spot or something like that, and really great for driving at night. You'll see that, you know, if I go down this way, it's directly above the driver, and the one on the passengers is directly above the passenger. So, and they're switched both from inside individually, and they're great for looking down tracks at night or looking at campsites. You know, so it's quite a spot beam. It's not a very good camping light because it's too focused. Needs to be a bit more spread. And I'll walk around here, you know, showing the roof rack. And I have a rear awning on the rear. It's by Aventa, just a small one, and that just covers the back door area. Sometimes I don't use it very often. I've often thought about getting a 270 degree awning, but nothing's really struck me. I don't know. Hasn't been much suitable yet. And this is my quick on suite. Got from Quick Pitch Campers. obviously. It's a little shower tent, basically. And situated in that window is the shower cubby. This is one of the windows I got off the RV model. Yeah, and again, it's got a light there, you know, directly above the passenger, and a bracket for a flag, quick release ARB flag. Yes, that's the roof rack. Oh, never mind. I'll have to climb up the ladder, and I'll show you. Oh. Yeah, and I keep 4 max tracks on the roof on this bracket. These max tracks are a bit old, you know. I've gone through a few sets. They make them sort of, you're not supposed to spin the wheels, but every now and then it just happens, and they get quite worn out. And that's the whole luggage area. Sometimes I put a canvas bag on here from Southern Cross Canvas, and you know, that's about it for the roof rack. Those brackets are cool, holding 4 max tracks. If I get down here, you'll see that I've even got some different coloured ones. Go in there, yeah. All right, next thing. And as you can see here, there are some rubber bushes between the ladder and the Kmart bar. Now, the reason for those is with a longer bolt, not tightening them too tight and using a nylock to stop them coming undone. That's that's these ones in here. These ones here, and you know, this bolt. Both top and bottom, because your chassis and the body of the car will move independently. They will flex independently, and if you don't do this, you will possibly cause cracking in the body of the vehicle up where it's attached to the car at the top of the roof rack. Something will happen there. So that's how I got by that. As for the paintwork, you might notice it looks a bit odd. You know, it's wrapped it. It's I had to mix this with white paint. I got I think it's 004. Oh, I can't even remember the paint code actually, but it's a Toyota, you know, ultra white or whatever it's called. And you know, this Raptoring it, I've got a video where I actually Raptor it, which is kind of cool. And it's changed the look of the car so much. It's really spruced it up, and I've done it. I did the paint a couple of months ago. As I walk around, you'll see the BARWORK black Raptored, and I did the paint a couple of months ago, and I've only recently washed it for the 3rd time. So I don't even hardly wash the car, and I've driven through the bush. It's been scratched, but it doesn't seem to like show up. It's quite cool. And even the snorkel, I did the snorkel in black, obviously, and the mirrors, because they were really bashed up. I probably need some new ones. I've kind of wrecked them a bit. And the doors, you know, the whole car except the roof. I didn't even take the roof rack off. I was too slack. I think yeah, I didn't want it to be Raptored on the roof, especially with it being a roof rack, because for me to clean it would be really hard, and I had no idea what this would be like cleaning. Not a clue. It can be, you know, it's kind of like sandpaper. That's what it feels like, sort of like a sandpaper. Even the Kmart bar, you know, black Raptored, and the back doors. Even the back doors, I did them. Yeah, it seems to hang in there. It seems to work quite well. All right, what's next? All right, this is the back area, in the back storage compartment, I suppose. However it goes. All right, and in here we have a 60-litre angle. Just on a slide. It's the draw system is by ORS, and I chose them a long time ago because it's, you know, apart from being, you know, cost like any drawers, they're fairly simple, but they're aluminium. They're completely aluminium and they're so light. I remember having these assembled in the garage, and I couldn't believe it. I could pick the whole thing up assembled on the ground. I could just pick it up. It was really light. I was quite surprised. And you know, they're nice drawers. They've been going for, gosh, a lot of years now. I don't know how long it's actually been. And you know, in here on the drawer system, I've got like a travel buddy, a marine travel buddy with a, you know, I leave the tray in it. I haven't bothered to put a little latch on this just yet. You can put a like external latch. I haven't had it come open, you know, and I'm pretty brutal on the car, you know. I haven't had it come open yet. Not yet. There's always a first. And so it's a little bit messy, you know. I made this little cage some time ago and mounted it, and it's just mounted to the top of the drawers. It's not a proper cargo barrier, but it works the same way. And it, you know, I strap things to it, I mount everything to it. I've got my inverter and battery chargers mounted to it, and you know, it holds everything in place, which is really cool. And I'll hopefully, you know, if I tuck in here, you can see the little shower cubby, the side of it, and you know, down a little bit lower, you know, I store my oils and bits and pieces, and in there is the air tank, and there's the other air fitting. And I keep my recovery bits and pieces in there. That's pretty much it for that. Put that bag back in there, strap that in, and you get. And this little doobie here, right? So this is baking paper. Sometimes I put paper towel on here. I just screwed a little piece of aluminium to the side of the drawers, and that seems to work quite well. Just stick it on there, and it seems to behave and stay there. So on this door, this is the driver's side, right? We have a little core light, a little light. It's a little switch here, and the drawers. I mean, not drawers. This is a table. I had a one made from timber on here many years ago. You'll probably see if I, you know, get right down. You'll see extra holes. You know, got a bit rough. I was a bit rough. This was just a work car that I used for working, and that's a little aluminium table. I used to have a wooden one there. The reason I took the wooden one off, not just for the weight, but it wouldn't close properly with the drawers there, so I actually had to take it off. And I had a piece of spare aluminium sheet, checker plate, and turned it upside down, cut it to size, and whacked it on there. And that's a handy little table for quick lunch stops, you know, when you have the fridge, and you know, sometimes you'll pull the fridge out. Yeah, it's quite handy, quite good. And on the other door, nothing apart from this little guy up here. This is a like, this little thing just catches the lid, because sometimes I've opened this lid and it's come down with a great rate of knots and hit both me and my wife on the head many times. So I just clip this little sucker in on the side. That stops it falling on our heads. So that's a cool little trick. I like that one. Alright, so I'll quickly explain to you another table that goes on here that I actually made. Oh, is that it? Oh, what do you know, it was on. Sitting there fiddling around with it going, oh, it doesn't feel right. A bit more level. You know, it takes up too much room, doesn't it? So anyway, in this canvas bag, I got them to make an extra pocket, and I bent up this bit of steel rod, and that just slots through some holes in the end here, beautiful. Yeah, that's cool. I made this out of, I just had some scrap bits and pieces lying around in one of the sea containers, and I bent this up, cut some bits, and I actually, these poles, some old tent poles that I had lying around just left over, and so I just welded them together and made like a little frame, and again another piece of steel rod I just bent up, and it seemed all, you know, it was all pretty easy really. You know, if you want to, I didn't video it obviously, I didn't have a camera at that stage. Alright, so for inside the drawers, in this top drawer I'll have my cooker, which is one of these hyper flames, and yeah, look, I'll mention quickly, if you ever come across these, a little plastic on one side and mesh on the other, and when I wash dishes I tend to dry my dishes in it and hang it up. Works quite well. And so the cooker, this hyper flame, is worth mentioning that it like, you burn your food, like, you know, it cooks really hot, it's too hot, so to speak, and so cooking things slow can be difficult with these older type valves. What I do is I pick a little a little stick, and I'll wedge it, you know, only about 3-4 mil thick stick, and I'll wedge it in the you know, along the side of the plastic valve against the housing of the cooker, and that you can hold it at a much lower, you know, puts a little bit of friction in there and holds, you're able to hold the valve at a much, you know, slower speed, and that works quite well. I don't really have a problem with burning it anymore once I kind of figured that out. And the bottom drawer, the big drawer, right? Oh, in here, my apologies, camera works pretty average. I have a little jaff line that does 2 jaffles at once, and you know, if I grab that, I'll generally put that up there, and I have my what are these called, pack out. It's part of the pack out kit anyway, and I keep my little odds and ends in there. You'll see through the lid, you know, there's bolts and bits and pieces, and that's quite handy. That's not handy that the drawer keeps sliding forward. It's because I'm parked not very level. And I have these cargo gear bags. I have 3 of them in here, and at the end, you know, I have a couple little odd bits, you know, little gas canisters, some brake cleaner and degreaser, and, you know, a few little things. And so in the first one, we look in there, it's there's pegs, and there's a, don't ever leave home without this stuff. Really cool. And there's spare clips and all sorts of bits, you know. That one's a little bit odd. It says tools. I haven't managed, you know, haven't rearranged that obviously. And that one, I've got some electrical connectors and some bits and pieces and some other cords that I might need. Yeah, and in this one is my Milwaukee stuff. Some of it. I've keep some drill bits. I've got a drill in there, an impact driver, a rattle gun, and a couple of batteries, and, you know, even a tape measure. You can tell I'm a bit of a Milwaukee nut, can't you? Yes. And up there, I just keep some discs and bits and pieces. That's about it for that drawer. That just sort of goes in there, I think, something like that. Hasn't been fitting properly lately. I think I've stacked too much stuff in there. And my jack line. That's about it. Yeah. What else? You know, there's not much. You know, there's a lot going in. I've done a lot. I've customized the back of this quite significantly. And even the, you know, I mean, in here I just, it's a bit heavy, but we're going there. There's some straps, like some ratchet straps. I think that's all I've got in there. And then the other side is, you know, recovery gear. Because, you know, you need to recover things. Mostly yourself, right? Because, you know, you tend to push it and push it. Oh, that's where I keep the flag. Sorry about that. It's bungeed on one end of that rack and then across to the other end, and I keep my fan. I tell you what, when you're camping in the north, like in the Pilbara and the Kimberley, and you know, you're sort of through summer, yeah, you trust me, you want one of these. Awesome. And I keep, you know, a little bit of cooking stuff in there. Yeah, and mittens and all sorts of stuff. But mostly it's very self-contained. I'll try these little windows that are out of the that other vehicle that I was telling you I tore down, and in there I've got my power, sort of my 240 volt power, because I've got a small inverter that's just there, a little red arc one. I made a video doing that. Oh yes, I made a video fitting that inverter and repairing that awning case, just the eyelets, very simple. And that's my battery charger, and in this little MSA bag, yep, is some cords and some lights, some little bits that I'll use time to time. And the air tank, it's 9 litres, it's a bit big. I think I might change that out soon, and I'm also thinking I might change this window as well. I might put one of those gull wings in there and put a smaller air tank, because 9 litres is, you know, quite large. You don't need it that big. That's just, I just couldn't help it. I saw it and I was like, oh, I've so got to have that. And then the other window, open that all the way. That's my shower cubby. You know, it's really cool. It's really quite handy. I stock a heap of stuff in there, or, you know, bits for the shower, because you know, as you'll probably gather, that, you know, you go above there's the shower tent, and I'll hang the hot water system off the ladder if I'm towing the trailer. And you know, yeah, it's that's cool. I made a video doing that, obviously, as well as the solar frame. Did them at the same time, sort of, in the same video anyway. Rear seat storage, I've got a seat. Anyway, that's where I keep one of my, you know, my camp chairs. This is on the passenger side, and I take the chair out. I've got these ammo boxes, camp cover ammo boxes, and these are kind of cool because I removed the rear seat and I just got a piece of wood and mounted it to using the bolts that hold the seat down, using all the same bits, and I mounted the board on there. So, and I put one of like the low profile lids, like one of these lids, I mounted that to the board so it sits it all in place, and with some eyelets there so I can actually ratchet it in so it's, you know, nice and firm. And the, you know, this one's a kitchen, you know, I've written on them, the kitchen, the front, and the cooking gear, and in that one's generally dry food. So in there will be pots and pans, and that'll be the kitchen, like knives and forks, plates, all the cooking stuff, yeah, they kind of all work together. Fairly neat, and it sits in there quite solid. I don't know what else. There's a, you know, cargo gear bag with just some bits and pieces. I've got to have that, and pegs, and because I'll do washing when I'm out at long distance. I'll do some washing I've got a scrubber bag. That's cool for doing washing. And this is the other side. Sorry about the light. It's you'll see this rubber mat and these little straps called from Just Straps, and they clip in. Anyway, I've got a 40 litre angle that I quite often put on there, and that will be my freezer, or sometimes that's a fridge. And sometimes it's a freezer. Like I alternate depending on what I'm doing, because I'll always travel, you know, differently depending on where I'm going and for how long I'm going for. This is a hardcore solar panel. It's a foldable one, 200 watts. It's plenty enough, obviously. It all fits in there, and there's the inflation case with all your bits in it, and my hat, because, you know, you get sunburnt, right? Jason gets sunburnt. Yes. yeah, the inflation case. What else? You know, you'll see here that I've got the this is like a socket set. This is cool because I carry my tools. You know, being a mechanic. Okay, yes, I'll carry sockets and I'll carry all my bits and pieces. And this comes from Atlas 46, I think. Is that what they were called? I can't remember. There we go, there they are there. Atlas 46. Yes. And also the mechanic's tool roll. Because I'm a mechanic, right? So I've got to have a mechanic's tool roll. This is this changes the way you carry tools. It's so much more organized, and you'll be surprised how much more you can actually carry and the stuff you need. And yeah. So that's fairly straightforward. In this one, I'll just keep like my hitches and other bulky stuff, and I put here on the floor. And there we have an MSA rear seat organizer, which again will just have really odd bits and pieces like a fair lead for the winch and so forth. And you know, if I look under the seat, there's an ARB twin compressor. Alright, so inside the Land Cruiser itself, like in the front seat, we've got a that's a little toggle button to change the view of the camera. There's the you know, for the sub tank, and you know, very very standard. This is a stereo, or basically I've put it in there for a to assist with the rear camera, nothing really else. And underneath here, switch for the ARB twin compressor, and the rear locker and the front locker. And I have a, you know, USB out, bunch of USB outlets and battery monitoring, and there's my lights, like, so you know, split HTXs. Oh, you know, one of those, you know, you have the LEDs and the spotlight. And so I've got this little canvas thing around the gear stick. There's another thing from Camp Cover. And I'll keep my keys and my phone generally. If my phone's not in the that phone holder. And sometimes I'll have a iPad in the RAM mount. And there's more of my Milwaukee pack out. They're kind of cool. That's actually my camera box. Of all things, right? And so being that I ratted a heap of parts from a 96 model RV, petrol 80 series, this used to have a bench seat, or 3/4 bench seat, and I put the single bucket seat in there, and then I could actually, you know, fit the console out of that other car in here as well, because the console's cool. You need a console because guess what, it's got a cup holder. And then if you go towards the front of it again, well, there's another kind of cup holder in it. You know, Land Cruisers, or the Povo pack versions with not much, you know, in the way of holding a cup. And so if I go to there, you'll see in my dash I have done 573,000 Ks. It's quite a few. And there we have, you know, my gauges. So I'll have a pyrometer, EGT gauge, and a boost gauge. Because under the bonnet, which is where we're going shortly, you'll see this is far from standard. And going in here, well, how do I get in there? I've got to open the door, don't I? You know, I've got this activates my lights on the back, or one of them. I should show them to you. So if I have it there, it'll come on in reverse. If I have, you know, in the middle, it's off. Flick it up, that's the light manually on for the rear. So I have it for when, you know, reverse. And these two switches, or sorry, these two buttons here is, you know, it's not center diff lock. These are out of a late model Land Cruiser, or out of the later model, like I said before. That operates the left roof light and that operates the right roof light, those Light Force Rock 40s that I showed you earlier. Yeah, so up here I have my two-way. It's got the model number up there. It's a TX 4500. It's 80 channel, and it's one you can change the color of the screen. I forget how to do that or what to do, or anyway. I use it mainly when I'm up north. That's most time that gets used. And there, you have your lights, which is cool. This is Outback Accessories, I think. And it's got this weird compartment, which I thought, oh cool, I can put my iPad up there, but iPad doesn't fit. And if we go in there, I'll have the remote control for the winch, and I have some other odd little things, maybe a charging cord for something. But that's about it. That's a cool little roof console. That they're very basic. They definitely follow the theme of a Povo pack, that it's hard. It's not. There's no carpet. There's nothing like that. And if you look in the back of the rear seat, which I showed you just before, I think there's one of these, which is, as in that one, you can see the scrubber bag poking out, and it's kind of where crap gets thrown. Yeah, I need to clean that up one day, don't I? This is a shot of under the driver's seat, the twin compressor, and a valve body for the actuators for the front and rear locker. So that's pretty, that's cool. Having lockers is very handy. Very handy. It doesn't stop me getting stuck though. As part of the capacities, I have a 60-litre water tank in front of the drawers, sitting slightly forward of the rear axle, which is good. 60 litres. That's 60 kilo, right? And full. Wow, of water. There's a tank, there's a couple of kilo. Stainless steel too. Under the rear here, this is at the back of just behind the Kmart bar, there's a 160-litre diesel tank. This I don't use it all the time, but every now and then I've got to do long remote trips. And the standard tank is 95 litres, or 90 litres, say. Right, so under the bonnet here, we have, this is a second battery. Also we've got gas struts, hence I, taxed a few things off the later model. And an oil catch can. And you'll see these intercooler pipes. You'll see a bit of piping here and there. Obviously on the other side and just here. So I've got quite a large front mount intercooler from PDI Intercoolers. That's Brian. He makes quite a good intercooler setup. I've very much like it. I don't know why I ever did, went any other way. You also know that it's got it's had a heating issue in the past. I'll go through all the, how to remove heat from your vehicle in later videos. But this is a PWR aluminium intercooler. It's a large intercooler. And the heating issue, I'll state this now, the heating issue was before the front mount intercooler. The front mount intercooler has only actually helped it not get so hot. Being, your normal start battery where it is, I've got a Red Arc dual sensing 440 amp, I think, isolator, smart isolator. It's dual sensing because the solar panel will put power in the other side, and when it's that's charged enough, it also opens this up and then charges. Make sure the start battery is in tip-top nick. And this here is the isolator for the winch, and there's a little diff breather here. I've got some paint on it. That's a little diff breather for the front diff and the gearbox and transfer case. The rear diff's sorted, it's organised. It's got its extended diff breather. I've got that in a different position. And I don't know if you can see from there, but anyway, under here is a remote controller. Being that this is a bit old, you know, remote controls are so much more compact, they're all incorporated, everything works so much better. And but this is quite an old version, so the remote controller unit sits just under the front diff breather. It's a 1.8Z that I turbocharged, and I put a DTS turbo on it, and I put the turbo on there about 10 years ago. Alright, so the tyres I have on this are BF Goodrich all trains, the KO2s. And if we go into the size is a 33 by 12.5 on a 15-inch rim. Alright, and if I go in on the rim, 15 by 8. Yes, it's quite a wide rim, and the tyre sits better, and the tyres seem okay. Alright, so trying to cover this quite briefly and but thoroughly is with the suspension, when you lift it, and whatever you do, you should always keep the sway bars intact. So I'll try to explain this in the best way fashion. You'll see there's a spacer for the sway bar. So if that's dropped, we'll use a very simple term. So if the springs increase, the size of the springs increased by 100 millimeters, which is 4 inches, and if you drop this by 100 millimeters, 4 inches, you have corrected your angle of your sway bar, the drop level of your sway bar, by 100%. It's common for people to not do this, and they get very poor suspension flex. And you'll also get some places, or some people, this is relatively common, is they will say you only need to go 75% of your drop rate. So that would mean this spacer would be 75 mil if that spring is 100 mil lifted. But in my experience, like with what I've noticed, is that if you go 100%, your suspension flex this won't hamper your suspension flex. The sway bar won't interfere with it. But if it's 75 or 50%, so half this or 75% of this, it hampers it just very slightly. As four-wheel drivers, we want to maintain our suspension flex the best as possible to get as much grip as we possibly can. So going 100% here, so if it's 4 inches lifted on the spring, 4 inches here, that will give you your best travel, and you'll maintain your on-road handling to an extent. The next section I need to mention is corrective radius arms. So the importance of corrective radius arms, or people change caster bushes. Caster bushes don't quite get it there, and so the easiest way to explain it is if you can imagine your tyre is on the ground, and your kingpins, which determine the location that you are steering from in relevance to your lateral axis, or your vertical axis on your steering. As a car is lifted, it's no longer square, and it begins this curved fashion, and so your wheel is actually steering on the front of the tyre, so to speak, in relevance to the kingpins, and that will make your steering very aggressive. And so at high speeds, that won't be nice at all. That'll be incredibly uncomfortable. And so the best way to combat that is to have corrective radius arms that are designed for the size of lift you have, because not only does it correct the kingpins to bring them back vertical, you know, one above the other in a 90 degree on the ground, to the ground, obviously to your steering surface, to 90 degrees. Not only does it do that, but it actually brings your whole diff forward back to the place it's supposed to be from factory, which will also help your steering. So if it's not and it's back, you know, your suspension then is you know, it's illegal, it's and it's dangerous. That's the worst part. This is about keeping your suspension safe. It's not hard to do. Just once you got the know-how, and once you understand what works and what happens, how it works, this will be so much better. And the rear suspension has extendable, adjustable control arms, upper and lower in the rear. But I've also already got a video on that on my channel. So if you want to have a look at the rear suspension and how that sits and how the compression curve of the rear spring, and I'll explain a few things back there. And if you're at all interested, yeah, go, by all means, go for it, have a look. And always don't be afraid to get under your car too and have a look. You know, try and make sure your car's always clean. Spray it with some inox or lanolin, or, you know, something for anti-rust at times, and always give it a clean. You'll benefit from it.